Okay, so 475 million views in 24 hours. Take-Two actually stood up in front of investors and called Trailer 2 the biggest video launch of all time. Not the biggest game trailer, the biggest video, full stop, across every platform, every medium in the history of people uploading things to the internet. Which is genuinely unreal when you consider that the last time Rockstar dropped something this big, it was 2013, and that game is still somehow not dead. GTA 5 is sitting at 225 million units sold. It's still climbing, so the question isn't whether GTA 6 is going to be massive. Obviously it will be. The question is how you follow the most profitable entertainment product ever made without completely losing the plot on what made it matter in the first place. $2 billion, 13 years. This is the story of the greatest gamble in entertainment history. Let's get into it. Okay, so here's the thing that makes Rockstar's situation genuinely kind of hilarious in a I cannot believe this is a real problem a company has kind of way. Most studios dream of making one game that sells well. Rockstar made one game in 2013 that just never stopped. By 2018, MarketWatch was calling GTA 5 the most profitable entertainment product ever made. Not most profitable game, most profitable entertainment product, ahead of every movie, every album, every piece of media that has ever existed. And even that wasn't the final number. The clock was still running. What turned a 13-year-old game into a machine that still prints money on a random Tuesday in 2026 was GTA Online. What started as a multiplayer add-on quietly became a full live service ecosystem. Microtransactions, GTA Plus, a subscription model, a player base that genuinely refuses to leave. Take-Two's SEC filings read like a heartbeat monitor that will not flatline. 210 million units, then 215 million, then 225 million, ticking upward on every single earnings call. People who were in diapers when this game launched are buying it right now. Certified classic longevity. So when people say GTA 6 has big shoes to fill, that's technically accurate, but underselling it in a massive way. Rockstar isn't replacing a hit. They're replacing a live service that still generates hundreds of millions of dollars annually, and any successor has to convince millions of players to walk away from a world they've already spent years and real money building inside. That is not a small ask. The reported budget reflects exactly how seriously Take-Two is treating that problem. $2 billion in development and marketing. So here's where it gets actually interesting. Because the $2 billion and the sales projections are one thing, but the studio building this game is genuinely not the same company that shipped GTA 5. And that matters way more than any budget number. In July 2022, Bloomberg's Jason Schreier published a piece the industry had been quietly dreading. Rockstar, he reported, had spent significant time and resources dismantling what former employees described as a frat boy internal culture, crude jokes baked into the institutional DNA, management running on intimidation, a general vibe that filtered all the way down into what ended up in the actual games. This wasn't anonymous internet drama. These were sourced accounts from real people who worked there, and Take-Two's leadership acknowledged the changes were real.
There's a lot of people, I don't know, you probably heard stories about Rockstar. There's people there that have a very aggressive managing style. It's not so much the company that was bumming me out, it was the attitude of the people in the company.
What that means for GTA 6 is genuinely hard to quantify, but it might be the most important variable in this whole situation. The studio finishing this game is operating under completely different internal pressure than the one that made GTA 5. Different management sensitivities, different awareness of what gets amplified when it leaks into public discourse, different answers to the question what Rockstar is actually allowed to say out loud. Whether that produces a better game is an open question. What it almost certainly produces is a more cautious one. And caution has a very complicated relationship with satire, which is kind of the entire foundation GTA is built on. The person who understood that relationship better than anyone at Rockstar was Dan Houser. He co-founded the studio, wrote or oversaw the writing on every major release, and built the specific authorial voice that made the franchise's provocations feel like pointed criticism rather than random chaos. He left in 2020. His statement said practically nothing. His departure removed the one creative filter most responsible for making GTA feel like it was actually saying something. And nobody outside the building fully knows what replaced it, or whether that thing can even be replaced by a committee of people trying very hard not to get the company in the news for the wrong reason. What we do know about how Rockstar actually operates comes partly from Vulture's 2018 deep dive into Red Dead Redemption 2. The picture it painted was of a studio almost pathologically obsessed with revision, scenes rebuilt from scratch, world details iterated hundreds of times, nothing considered finished until it cleared an internal standard most studios wouldn't even attempt. That obsession produced one of the most critically acclaimed games ever made. It also produced Dan Houser mentioning in passing that some teams had been pulling 100-hour weeks during the final stretch. The entire industry conversation about crunch shifted permanently, and Rockstar was right at the center of it. The perfectionism that built the reputation and the human cost of that perfectionism turned out to be the exact same thing: certified classic irony. Then in 2025, Dan Houser gave an interview where he said gaming can either go somewhere really interesting or get overly focused on making money, and there's always that danger. He wasn't naming GTA 6 specifically, but come on. A $2 billion production, a studio navigating cultural reform, a game already delayed twice from fall 2025 to May 2026, then pushed again to November 19th, 2026. Each delay bending the broader industry release calendar and moving public market expectations with it. Bloomberg described those expectations heading into late 2024 as dangerously high, not just for Rockstar, for the entire industry's growth narrative. One game carrying that much weight is not a normal situation. And then, before any of that pressure could even begin to settle, someone broke in. In September 2022, roughly 90 videos of in-development GTA 6 footage appeared online. Reuters confirmed it the same day. Rockstar posted a statement on X describing a network intrusion, careful language, plain meaning. Someone had physically gotten inside their systems and walked out with footage from the most anticipated game in the world, which is, honestly, the most GTA plot that could have ever happened to GTA. Rockstar called it the most significant leak in the company's history. By the time either statement published, the footage was already everywhere. And I mean everywhere. Every corner of the internet that has ever cared about video games was absolutely cooked for like a full week straight. The Washington Post covered what followed. Every single frame of unfinished gameplay, blurry animation tests, placeholder textures, character models that were never meant to exist outside a private server got pulled into YouTube breakdowns and Reddit threads before the game even had an official title card. Rockstar was simultaneously trying to build a product and watching that product get reverse engineered and repackaged by people who had absolutely zero hand in making it. Standard internet behavior, honestly. Depressing, but standard. According to The Guardian's 2026 reporting, the breach cost Rockstar $5 million in direct recovery costs, plus thousands of staff hours redirected from actual development into damage control. On a $2 billion production, thousands of hours simply don't come back. Whatever didn't get done in that window is either somewhere in the finished game right now, or it isn't there at all. The hack also carried a dimension that hadn't existed for any previous GTA launch. The hackers didn't only leak footage. They attempted to ransom the company, demanding payment to stop releasing more. That's not a bad review. That's extortion aimed directly at the production pipeline of the entertainment industry's biggest bet. Rockstar declined publicly, but the structural damage was already done and sitting there. GTA 6 is the first major Rockstar release built entirely inside an era where an unfinished asset posted online becomes content before it's even a game. The leak didn't just expose footage, it exposed exactly how fragile the wall around a $2 billion secret actually is. Okay, so let's actually talk about what GTA 6 is going to say. Because GTA has never really been about crime. Crime is just the vehicle. What the series is actually about is America. The consumerism, the delusion, the gap between what people perform online and what their bank account says at 2 in the morning. Los Santos was Los Angeles with the filter ripped off. Weasel News was cable news before cable news fully became the thing GTA was already making fun of. The radio stations weren't background noise. They were a complete cultural autopsy, running on loop while you drove a stolen car through a city designed to laugh at itself. Vice City in 2026 is genuinely one of the most target-rich environments Rockstar has ever pointed a camera at. Miami right now is a place where crypto millionaires lost everything and somehow still have the yacht photos up, where a massive chunk of the visible economy runs on performing wealth. The boats, the clubs, the content filmed in front of a skyline that the people who actually built the city can no longer afford to live near. Drug trafficking, operating as a parallel underground economy that on paper sometimes looks almost identical to the legitimate one sitting right next to it. Every single one of those is a GTA target, and Rockstar's entire track record says they're aiming at most of them. The problem, and this is where it genuinely gets messy, is the political backdrop those targets exist inside right now. Okay, look, I'm Canadian, right? It doesn't directly affect me, but I am watching American politics from up here, and my God, it is something else. The gap between what Rockstar wrote in a script room in 2022 and what the actual world looks like at a November 2026 launch is not a small difference. That's basically a different country. A joke about a corrupt politician reads completely differently depending on which politician the audience maps onto it. The internet doesn't wait to understand what something means. It just decides, clips it, and posts it within about 4 minutes. GTA 5 ran into this and didn't come out clean. The torture scene split critics and players in ways that never got resolved. Japan censored it entirely. The female characters drew real, sustained criticism from people who felt the satire stopped right at the edge of the game's own blind spots. Michael's wife, written as the financially reckless, cheating housewife, his daughter as the fame-obsessed teen willing to do anything for a following. GTA 5 was genuinely sharp at collapsing the distance between satire and reality, but portions of its audience walked away feeling like the joke wasn't pointed outward, it was pointed at them. That tension never got resolved, and now GTA 6 is dropping the franchise's first female protagonist into an audience that remembers exactly how the last one handled it. No pressure. The person who held that tightrope at Rockstar, not perfectly, but with enough of a consistent compass that the provocations felt deliberate, was Dan Houser. Without him, those calls fall to a room of people working inside a studio already publicly pressured to moderate its instincts, on a project where the financial stakes turn every controversial creative choice into a boardroom risk conversation first. Wide audiences and sharp satire pull in genuinely opposite directions. That's not a theory. Dan Houser literally warned it was real. And GTA's entire identity depends on not walking straight into it. So, the game built to mock excess